Meeting. Could I have everyone rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence? Board Member Bonagorio will lead us in the pledge this evening. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I have somebody move the agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Stutzel, second by Ms. Farah. Any additions, corrections, deletions to the agenda? I'd like to delete 5.02. With that, all those in favor of the agenda as amended? That passes 7-0. We're GTA comments. Karen Schindler, welcome this evening.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Karen Schindler. I'm a proud teacher of the Greece Central School District for the last 22 years and am a Rochester Regional Women's Network Committee Chair and NICET Committee Chair participant, but I also represent the GTA Women's Network, which just hosted an event this past week. And I'd like to address the question of what is a women's committee and why is it needed. But it's best explained through the Her Story event that just occurred this past Monday. Her Story is a virtual event where coworkers can nominate a colleague to be recognized in a virtual call with board members, superintendent, GASA, GTA, and NICET guest speakers. This event happens during Women's History Month as a celebration of all the women do, but might not always get thanked for. On the call, leaders welcome and thank the participants, especially the honorees. Then the honorees get to hear from those that nominated her about why she was being recognized. This portion can end up in tears of love and gratitude because it's not every day that you get your colleagues to say why they think you're great. We've been doing this event for 5 years. That's 56 people who have nominated 55 honorees, who in then turn also recognize women who've inspired them, sometimes family, sometimes colleagues, totaling over 160 women that have been honored in the last 5 years. Every year, I hear participants how honored they were to be nominated, that they feel tremendous love and support from their peers. Paying it forward is what we are trying to do, and it's working. It means so much to the participants that we as a whole district, a very large district, show up in their moment of recognition to truly see them for the qualities that they possess, not just the number or category that they represent. This year, we heard so many stories of extraordinary women who inspire both staff and students with her passion for reading, women who are dedicated to serving their country and their colleagues in their day-to-day, women who volunteer on state committees so they can share with their colleagues, women who work long hours in the musicals and choirs, women who believe in their students no matter what, women who overcome extraordinary obstacles in their personal lives and still go above and beyond, women who create safe spaces and always ask, how can I help? Women who love their students so much that they feel seen and valued enough to in turn recognize their teacher. Women who attend their students' events just to get to know their families. Women who take leadership roles and deal with difficult situations with grace, and so much more. These ladies, along with many, many others in Greece, demonstrate what is good about our district. They truly reflect the ideals and envision reach on a day-to-day basis. On Friday, Her Story culminates at a local restaurant to celebrate in person. Family, friends, co-workers, executive cabinet, regular GTA folks, everybody shows up and mingles to congratulate the Her Story recipients. And you know what the most beautiful thing of the whole event really is? We, the members of Greece Central, we're all functioning as one united on core fundamental values that we all share, that no matter the position in the district or the power that one has, we were accepting, we were open-minded, we were kind, and we were united. We heard each other's stories and we saw ourselves in them. It didn't even have to be stated. We just knew that everyone who participated feels deeply for our community, that we all want what's best for our kids. We were not divided, but interconnected. We were and do function under the basic understanding that we all have a role to play, but that we roll up our sleeves together, problem solve together, come to consensus together, because we can and do respect each other for the people that we are, not the numbers or the categories that we represent. That is what a women's committee does and why it is needed. Thank you.
It's no joke, I brought Kelly here too. April Fools. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for having us tonight. I'm Andrea Gilia. I'm the proud principal of Pine Brook Elementary.
Hi, everyone. Kelly Lampman. I'm the proud principal of Long Ridge.
We wanted to highlight the rigor in our schools this month for our GASA celebrations. Again, it's no joke that there's a lot of rigor that's happening on a day-to-day basis, and our principals highlighted that for us this evening. So we're starting with Pine Brook. Pine Brook, we're hard at work researching. We're using multiple sources. We're compiling information into written and published reports. The reports look very different. Some of them are traditional written reports, and some of them are published books. But as you've heard from probably a lot of other administrators in the district, that the amount and quality of the writing has increased significantly since our ArtCore curriculum adoption.
So excited to share about Long Ridge. Our fourth grade students became experts on animal adaptations by reading and researching and writing informational books. And then they had the opportunity to share as authors with each other in the grade level. And they were really excited to share just what they learned and how much they could write and how much they became experts in that field.
So at Arcadia, they're focusing on building student stamina in writing, again, supporting their ability to demonstrate their understanding of grade level standards. The work especially is targeting the PTSI identified areas to ensure that the students are prepared for our assessments, our New York State assessments, which are happening next week, and through intentional practice and support, they're helping students develop all of the skills needed for success.
Autumn Lane, the scholars are focusing on efforts for improving math fluency throughout the school. They're using their WIG to measure their lead, to use their lead measure, each week to earn a glow party celebration. How fun is that? And they're tracking those lead measures on private tracking sheets and a public scoreboard to keep everyone in the school engaged.
Olympia, represent. Excuse me. At Olympia, they're continuing to pursue instructional approaches that engage students in learning both during and after the school day. So one example is the ELA 9 students are working on research projects, and they did one-to-one mini updates on the research to their peers, and students were able to ask questions of one another. Also, after school, they have 50 students in grades 6 through 8 engaged in ELA and math intervention services via their extended day program. The students are working in small groups with a teacher and productively struggling in that learning pit with the essential standards of the content.
There you go, Olympia. We love that. Oh, Brookside, the Bobcats in first grade are working collaboratively to hone in on those math skills. In small groups, they're focusing on telling time, counting money, understanding fractions, measurement, and patterning. And each group was facilitated by a student who demonstrated what they do and answered any questions that the other students had.
Okay, Buckman Heights. So the third grade students have opportunities every day for vertical learning. So the students have roles within the groups with each other, and they make sense of math problems together, and they're individually responsible to share and demonstrate their preferred mathematical strategies, which is a common theme actually across the schools, is showing your work and your understanding using multiple modes of demonstrating learning.
At Lakeshore, the fourth graders, very similar to Long Ridge, worked on practicing their research skills with informational text. They were able to synthesize their research and create their own informational books, complete with sophisticated text features, chapters, resource citation, and visuals. Their project culminated in an author celebration where students were able to share their work with other students, family members, community members. They were so proud of all of their hard work and accomplishments.
And lastly, we have Dome, also representing tonight. At Athena High School, they welcome staff from districts across Western New York to see the exemplary ways that the district is supporting students with interrupted education by providing them with high-quality, targeted instruction in ELA, math, science, social studies, and foundation literacy. And students from a variety of language backgrounds volunteer to share their experiences and what helped them to learn. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We appreciate all the work you do on behalf of our Greece students.
Thanks.
Thank you. I have no one signed up to speak from Gus, Teamsters, or AgSept. Moving into Residents Forum, Kylie Stewart. Ms. Stewart here? Welcome.
My name is Kylie Stewart, and my son has been a member of the Greece Blue Knights Marching Band going on 6 years now, and a member of the Greece Indoor Percussion Team since its creation 3 years ago. I am here tonight along with other parents of GMB students and some of the students themselves. Sorry. We're here to talk about one of the best drumline instructors these students have had, Mr. Terrell Carver. Mr. Carver is both well-loved and respected by not only the students, but the parents as well. He puts his heart and soul into teaching them, and it has shown in their growth as musicians and their confidence they have gained as performers. He is kind and patient, caring and encouraging, and when needed, he pushes them to do better because he has faith in their abilities to learn and grow. He has given extra lessons and spent extra time with any student who has asked, my son being one of them. I believe Mr. Carver played a large part in giving my son the confidence to move from bass drum to tenor. The GMB program as a whole, fall and winter sessions, have huge potential to grow and become a force to be reckoned with in the marching arts if they are given the chance. I believe consistency is one of the keys to creating a winning team. Ms. Kristen Costa has been the Winter Guard instructor since its creation, and the Winter Guard teams, of which my daughter has been a part of for 2 years now, have excelled and grown under her continuous leadership. I have no doubt that the marching band will do the same with her as director. More than just a team, though, the GMB is also a family, and Mr. Carver has more than earned his place as a member by showing up time and time again for the students. I have no doubt he will take the drumline to new heights for the marching band and will continue to grow the Greece Indoor Percussion Team. It is our sincere hope for Mr. Carver to become a permanent part of the GMB family for years to come.
Thank you. My next speaker for Residents Forum, and I'm going to butcher this last name, Bob Lukasiewicz. Bob L., going once, going twice. All right. Corinne DeMora.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Corinne DeMora. I am a alumni of Greece Arcadia High School. I am an employee at Greece Arcadia High School and a parent of 2 daughters that attend school at Arcadia. We would like to take a moment to appreciate the good in our school and the sense of security that we feel there. Both of my daughters are involved in their school community. My 7th grade daughter, Lila, participated in fall and winter cheer teams this year. The kids in the entire cheer program support and encourage each other. It was so impressive to see even seniors, juniors, varsity level kids making connections with the younger kids, making them feel like they belonged, encouraging them. It was awesome. My 9th grade daughter, Sienna, has told me, when I asked her about how she felt about freshman year, she said it is her best year yet. And she has found a home with the Titan TV crew, Titan Times School newspaper. She also participates in the school band. And her love for music goes even further when she participates for the Grace Brune Lights Marching Band and the indoor drumline. Speaking of drumline, I know it's a district team, and it has kids from all 4 secondary schools. But Arcadia has totaled just about half of the 115 kids that we had in the band last year. That just shows Arcadia's support. All of the advisors, directors, and staff that have supported these programs have made my shy daughter really feel part of a group. As an employee, I see many opportunities for kids to be involved in their school. Pathways programs, clubs, groups, sports, theater. Being a part of something just creates a school environment that is vibrant and exciting. Just last week, Arcadia put on a staff versus staff basketball game that I participated in as a cheerleader. And the students could gain access by using their Titan tickets that they earned. The energy in that gym was electric. Like, the kids were just cheering on teachers, staff that I don't even think they had as a teacher, but it was just awesome, and it really showed that the Titan community is better together. The other thing we really wanted to bring up is that our school is a safe space, a place where kindness is encouraged, respect is expected, and everyone has the opportunity to thrive. Every year, I see more and more supports added for our kids. Dealing with teenagers, it's hard. And I live and breathe it every day as a mom and at work. But I know people are listening, and people really care about our kids. And I just think it's really important for everybody to support each other, work together, look out for each other, be in it together, because we can be better than good. We can be great. Let's go.
Thank you. All right, moving on to staffing. Can I have somebody move the staffing to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Stetzel, seconded by Mr. Bonnegorio. Any comments, questions, concerns on staffing? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to tenure, 2.02. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Moore, seconded by Ms. Lyke. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to 2.03, the GTA MOA Counselor Summer. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Butler, second by Mr. Stetzel. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to gas MOA payout of vacation. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Lyke, second by Ms. Farrar. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. And the GTA MOA for additional FTEs. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Moore, seconded by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to 4.01, 2025-2026 Superintendent's Proposed Budget Recommendation. Superintendent Smallene with his first budget presentation. I'm so excited. You didn't let Romeo do the slides, did you?
All right. All right, so good evening. Tonight, Romeo and I will guide you all through our budget development process, highlighting how this budget supports academic growth and responds to students' evolving needs. We'll also break down key financial details, outline 2 propositions on the ballot, and explain important changes to the voting process. Our goal is to give the board and community members a clear comprehensive understanding of what we are proposing, why it matters, and how the budget proposal balances student needs and with fiscal responsibility. Before we begin, I just want to take a moment to recognize Romeo and the entire finance department team for their hard work through this process. School budgeting is complex with constantly shifting factors and variables. Despite these challenges, they remain focused on what matters most, our students and the voices from our schools. So thank you, Romeo, Janine, Megan, and the rest of the team for your dedication. So for 10 years or more, Greece Central has followed a clear year-long process for developing and implementing our annual budget, as shown here. At the very start of the process, under assess funding, Romeo and the team begin by creating a rollover and a draft budget. His team reviews revenues, including reserve funds, fund balance, tax levy, and state aid, which allows them to determine whether there is a surplus or a gap. With that in mind, we also begin the budget development process by identifying our priorities. Our goal is to not only maintain, but to enhance our current programs, provide the support necessary to close achievement gaps that include high-quality, effective professional learning, and remain within the tax levy cap. We also know that schools need to be safe, both physically and emotionally, a place where students want to come every day to learn. Our students and families have repeatedly cited the importance of extended learning experiences or extracurricular activities, including athletic programs as well. These student engagement programs promote regular attendance at school and often lead to higher achievement. So I stand before you tonight, 3 months into my new role as superintendent, and also in the middle of my entry process, which, as you can see, is centered on listening, learning, and leading. And as part of that work, the cabinet and myself have been gathering feedback from stakeholders about our district strengths and our areas for growth. That input, along with data on our student population and community needs, helps shape the budget proposal we're sharing with you tonight. So through a blend of surveys, site visits, interviews, community conversations, we have gathered feedback from close to thousands of Greece Central School District parents, students, staff members, and community leaders and residents. And here are some of the reoccurring themes that we heard. Students' needs have changed in our district. Student behavior affects learning. Staffing shortages impact everyone. We need to prioritize rigor and achievement. We need to ensure students are ready for life after graduation, and that families want to be engaged as partners. This was clear at our Partners in Progress focus meetings that took place last week, where we had tremendously positive feedback, and hope to see the same results tomorrow as well. I want to come on that. So we share this slide because we hear often enrollment is decreasing in Greece, which it is. And you can see in 2006-07, close to a little over 13,000, and now we're sitting just under 10,000. You can see that that is similar to the decrease that we're seeing in the county, and that orange line represents our West Side schools. So it's true our enrollment is declining. It has plateaued, and we're seeing a small increase this past year from prior years. However, while we may have fewer students than in previous years, the needs of our population have steadily increased. More students require specialized services, academic interventions, and social-emotional support than ever before. Understanding these shifts is critical as we plan for the future, ensuring that our resources align with the evolving needs of our students and our community. Once we've identified our priorities and our needs, we also go and take a deeper look at our economies. So we continuously examine ways to maximize efficiency and align our resources with student needs. So that in the first area, as noted on the slide, is capturing what we save in retirements and attrition. Additionally, we examine vacancies to determine why those vacancies exist. Is that a critical position that needs to be filled, or can that position possibly be redesigned to be more effective, attractive for recruiting purposes? The second area is staffing to actuals, which is significant. The staffing process has improved so much thanks to our Human Resource Department and Gina. This process is where we go through several meetings with secondary and elementary principals, where we look at enrollment in specific courses and ensure that those classes fit a criteria that we will go ahead and staff. And that is reviewed multiple times throughout the year to ensure that we are staffing appropriately to the actual numbers. In addition, during that time, this is time for principals, directors, executive directors to come in and ask for additional academic intervention services and supports within the buildings. That could also be mental health support and related service providers like PT, OT, and speech, which are required for our special education students. The third area is looking to how we can supplement with grants and partnerships. For example, Center for Youth, Genesee Mental Health, grants like the Stronger Connections grant, Arts and Education is now BOCES aidable, and so is community schools. And finally, we always go back and we review closely our contracted services and our software. So this evening, this budget proposal that we're presenting here tonight aligns with our REACH 2027 strategic plan and its core commitments to ignite learning, cultivate trust, and expand opportunity. Now, 3 years into our 5-year strategic plan, these commitments guide our daily work as educators. However, for those outside the district, their application and impact may not always be clear. My goal with this presentation is to illustrate what these commitments truly mean in the context of our budget and how we are actively working to improve our schools and community in meaningful ways. So in the area of commitment 1, Ignite Learning, this budget supports student success and improved academic outcomes by investing close to $135 million in the following selected initiatives and priorities. I want to be clear that this does not encompass everything that goes in Commitment 1. Our hope is to show with these selected initiatives that you get an understanding of some of the dollars that are connected to our different commitments. So going into this year, we will continue to focus high-quality instruction for students and professional learning for staff. We want to have targeted support to close the achievement gaps in ELA and math. Our focus on early childhood education and college and career readiness programs, and also a focus on mental health and student support teams working to provide the resources students need to thrive in and out of the classroom. So what does this mean? Here are just some examples that fit under those different categories. When we say high-quality instruction and professional learning, we're talking about curriculum implementation and support, not just in our core, but all of our curriculum. We're talking about release time for professional development in the areas of professional learning communities, our guiding coalitions to lead school improvement work initiatives in every building. We talk about targeted support to close the achievement gaps. We have reallocated district TOSAs to then shift them into the buildings so that they could be ELA and math interventionists that work directly with students in meeting their needs. In early education, we're looking to expand Leader in Me, K through 8, and expand our UPK program, specifically with our community-based organizations to allow or to look for increasing classrooms to reduce the amount of students that are on our wait list. We continue to expand course offerings and work-based learning options, and we focus on mental health and student support, which means specialized staff deployed in schools to address behavioral challenges, foster engagement, and support students with disabilities. I also want to share a snapshot of special education. In recent years, we are now at 78 self-contained classrooms across the district, a significant increase from just 5 years ago. 162 of our students require one-to-one aids. The number of students requiring support services like occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech has increased by 42% since 2019-20 school year. The number of students with behavior interventions on their IEP has increased by 25% in the past 5 years. In addition with that, there are fewer and fewer out-of-district placement options available for our students, which results in very lengthy wait lists. All of this information, all of this staffing is embedded in Commitment 1 when it comes to staffing. Commitment 2, cultivate trust. The budget supports strong relationships and improved learning environments by investing $9.3 million in the following selected initiatives and priorities. Number 1, the expansion of student and staff safety initiatives and intervention strategies. 2, two-way communication and shared decision-making. Strong emphasis on employee recruitment and retention, and addressing identified needs as we go through the school year. So what does that mean? So with student and safety initiatives and interventions, our weapons detection systems in every secondary school by the fall of 2005. Now, these are covered through a grant, but what's not covered is the staffing and the training that continually need to ensure that our students are safe as they walk into the building. We have programs and positions to promote student accountability. For example, peer accountability, looking beyond, social learning specialists, restorative TOSAs to work with students when they're in conflict cycle. We also have money set aside for technology infrastructure improvements for added data security. That means an emphasis on cybersecurity that is constantly changing, growing, that needs to be addressed on a regular basis. Two-way communication and shared decision-making. Our shared decision-making teams, we have ones at every single school. This required a significant training outside of the building where we consulted with the Teacher Union Reform Network that actually will not only to build the shared decision-making at each of the schools, but to ensure that it's sustainable and that we're continually coming back and revisiting to make sure that it's setting out to do the purpose that it is set out to do. And we're constantly looking to improve opportunities for stakeholder feedback and engagement. With employee recruitment and retention, we have targeted engagement opportunities for student teachers and interns to limit staffing shortages. Just recently, the board approved an MOA that allows for our host teachers to receive a stipend. That has completely shot up our student teachers, our hosts, being willing to take on that additional work and then in turn be able to increase the recruiting when those student teachers are done with their placement. We also are constantly coming into negotiating for our different contracts. Our goal is to provide a robust, competitive employee contracts to not only recruit, but to retain. In addition to needs throughout my entry process, we determined to try to attempt 2 different pilots at Olympia and Odyssey that will help, Arcadia, that will help support the goals of their school improvement plans, which is academic focus, professional learning, as well as student behavior. These are, the principals now are in the process of designing. I'm looking forward to sharing what those pilots will look like in those 2 schools. In addition to that, the finance team has increased the funding for each building to allow for more opportunity for professional development, to fund work that takes place outside of the school day. And some feedback from my entry, just to tie into, to show that there's connection from feedback of surveys tied into this, to our budget presentation. We had over close to 9,000 students, teachers, and parents and guardians completed a perception survey. That feedback was taken into consideration as we designed this. Over 1,200 completed the progress and priority survey that's tied to my entry. So this budget proposal incorporates funds to address some of the most cited challenges, including student behavior, special education programming, academic achievement, life skills instruction, and classroom support. And finally, Commitment 3, expand opportunity. So this budget supports student engagement and community connections by investing $11.6 million in the following selective initiatives and priorities: our community school strategy and community partnership programs, extracurricular and athletic opportunities at all grade levels, work-based learning and college and career awareness programs, and instructional technology and digital literacy. So in the areas of community schools, we're adding 2 new community schools, like Autumn Lane and Odyssey, for the 25-26 school year, adding programs linked to academic achievement and behavioral support, and maintaining and increasing a number of lead innovators in community school partners. So that includes partnerships with Unity, that provides internships where kids are exploring careers in healthcare. Our students are volunteering and participating in work-based learning experiences, Rochester Regional CNA program, Bob Johnson's Big Brother, Big Sisters, where there's mentors connect and work on employability skills and career exploration, along with work-based learning TOSAs that support students during work study. We have school stores that are connected to technology and business as well. Some pieces that this budget is maintaining and enhancing going into next year. And as you can see from the snapshot on student engagement, we had 3,500 registrations were received for our free district-provided summer programs in 2024. So we're hoping that that maintains or even grows going into this year. Registration opens for this summer, 2025, opens April 7th. We have more than 700 students participated in RBTL's Arts Partner Program, and we have students have organized and led dozens of school-based and community events, including the first Grease to Change Summit for secondary students and the Leadership Day for elementary students. And I believe this is you. All right.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Jeremy. Good evening, everyone. So as most of us may know, or at least the board is aware, state budget was due today. And needless to maybe say, we don't have a state budget yet. It sounds as if it's going to be another week or 2, probably. Hopefully we'll have it in our hands, or at least the state aid runs to us before we come back to the board on April 22nd. But at this point, we don't have it. There's some promising news in that on the Senate side, at least from the Senate One House budget, there are some promising things that we're looking to get some verification on. One is the expansion, some additional funds to expand universal pre-K. We've heard a number about $680, $700 million more in foundation aid potentially to be distributed among school districts, and some confirmation on universal school meals out there. So we haven't heard really anything more about it, but once we get that back, we'll come back, and before we do the adoption on April 22nd, we'll do a budget update, a short, brief update on what has come in and what has changed. And the bottom line number will likely be the same some of the buckets may have changed, and then we'll go into the board adoption for the budget for next year. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. So looking at state aid, we've looked at this a number of times. Just a refresher, we did get our executive budget from the governor. It had originally given us about $167.2 million in state aid. We came to the board last time and updated that we wanted to update and revise our building aid number, which is highlighted in green, from 10 million to 11.2 million. We're still very confident on that number, and we're sticking with the number that is circled in green below at $168.4 million in state aid for next year. As we look at our revenues, again, this is very similar to what we've seen before. Our state aid is the number we just looked at. Our tax levy is at $128 million roughly. That is the calculated tax cap number. That is the number, if we have 50% plus one vote, the budget passes. And then the other item just to note is the appropriated fund balance. I just remind everybody that in the 24-25 budget, we had $2 million appropriated for playgrounds and pavilions to be constructed. That work will take place this summer. That is no longer in the budget, and that's why you see a decrease of $2 million. We are not appropriating any funds going into next year. Looking at the expense side, we do this a couple different ways. One is by function that we may not have shared with the board in the past. General support includes those things like the superintendent's office, the finance functions, buildings and grounds, legal, human resources, all utilities, all those general support functions. You can see the changes there. Instruction, all the instructional functions, curriculum development, supervision, planning, evaluation, OTPT, athletic, all those things that Jeremy had previously spoken to. Pupil transportation, again, pretty self-evident. And undistributed is all those items that don't fit into one of the other buckets. Those include ERS, TRS, Social Security, workers' comp, healthcare, dental care, and all those other businesses are wrapped up in undistributed. We have an increase budget to budget of $10.7 million, or about 3.5, just under 3.5%. We also do this by object, which breaks it down by salaries and equipment. We've looked at this a couple different ways, but just a different look at it. Salaries are primarily contract-driven. Contracted services, primarily what's in that category is transportation contracts that we kind of referenced, the warehouse, utilities, buildings and grounds contracts, all those things that we have to have vendors come in and help us out with. On a summary level, our budget is proposed at $318,529,556. It's a $10.7 million increase from the current year budget. That's about a just under 3.5% increase. Just as a reminder, CPI increase for 2024 was roughly 3 to 3.1%, depending on the timing. So we're right around the CPI, which I thought was good. We've calculated our tax levy for next year at $128,072,028. That is the calculated maximum cap. We need 50% plus one vote to pass that levy. If we go over this amount, we'd have to go to a supermajority vote. That number represents an increase of $2,590,000 from the previous year, or again, just over 2% increase year to year. There's also a proposition, as we usually have on budget vote day. This is for bus replacements. We are asking residents to approve the replacement of 35 buses. These would be gas and diesel buses, not electric buses. You can see the breakdown here on how we would, what sizes we would purchase. The total aggregate cost will not exceed $5,647,000. We're going to use approximately $1.9 million of the reserve to apply towards this purchase, and that will allow us to have that be a no additional cost to the levy for our residents. So the buses between state aid coming in and the amount that we take in out of the reserve, there's no additional cost to the tax levy we just reviewed, and then we finance those over 5 years, and those sort of pay for themselves. And then second proposition that will be on the ballot will be for the creation of a capital reserve fund. Our previous 2 capital reserve funds have expired. One we had for Reimagine Greece, and we used it to fund that project. Our second one that was still open was the capital reserve for Level Up, and those funds are going to be used to finance that project. So we would like to create a new capital reserve that would be capped at $50 million for deposits going in, okay? And then it would be a 15-year period where we could make deposits into the account, so $50 million over a 15-year period to put money into it, and then we would use it with voter approval anytime we wanted to spend the money. But that spending could go past the 15 years of deposit. So it would be 15 years of put money in, kind of unlimited or whenever we use it and need it to spend it. But again, it would also be a proposition on any budget that we put out there. Jeremy.
This is the easier part of the presentation. So where to vote? So we have one centralized voting location, really to limit confusion about where to vote. That's right here at the Transportation Center. Polls open at 6 a.m. and close at 9 p.m. And to be eligible, voters must register with the Monroe County Board of Elections. And to add to the fun, there's new voting systems this year. So New York State has purchased a new secure electronic voting system. These are touchscreen machines that will be used by Greece voters for the first time on May 20th. So instead of filling in the bubbles, you select and review your choices on the machine before casting your vote. I will say I had an opportunity to observe this at a Monroe County School Board meeting a couple weeks ago, and I did have a sigh of relief when I saw just how easy the process is. We're expecting that there'll be some learning going on, but I felt relatively positive after seeing the simplicity of doing that. We will also have videos and directions kind of posted all throughout our building here to help support voters as they come in. And we did ask for more than enough voting machines to just ensure it's a smooth, timely process for everybody. Early voting by mail. So all registered voters are eligible to vote by mail. Those who wish to vote by mail must complete an application first. Applications will be available on the district website beginning April 24th. I do think that we may look to open that up about a week earlier, just to allow people time to do that, but knowing that until the process is finalized, we can't mail out the ballot. So that date may back up just a little bit. And once the applications are verified, the voter will be mailed an official ballot, or they can pick one up in person at district office. So what's next with our proposal? So next board meeting, April 22nd, the board will vote on the proposed budget. On April 25th, there'll be a budget book available to the public. On April 28th, there will be a board candidates night for the 3 board members that are up for election. That is at 6 p.m. Right here in this room at 170, and will also be live streamed. May 6th, board meeting will have an official budget public hearing. And in addition to that, we selected 2 evening events. for a public budget information session. We tried to differentiate the time to accommodate work schedules for people. So on May 14th, it'll be at 4 p.m. right here at TSSF, room 170. And on the 15th, we went a little bit later, 6 p.m., again, right here in the building, room 170. Any questions?
Ms. Millar?
I think the board candidates night was moved to district office.
No, it got moved back
Moved
here.
back?
We moved it
Okay.
back.
I had seen that. I appreciate, Jeremy, in your review that you talk about career readiness. I was a career educator, and I always check the data, and last time I looked, 34% of the population had a bachelor's degree in the United States. We're kind of always involved with college-educated people as our profession, but the real world is out there. So anytime we can spend time on that life after graduation is very important to me, so thank you.
Yeah, and we agree. And I think that Corey Skinner has done a phenomenal work in that area to just make a robust program with many more opportunities.
Mr. Butler?
Thank you, and thanks for the presentation. One thing I wanted to ask about, I saw that you mentioned on slide 12 around the new and expanded strategies included in the budgetary address commitment one around around UPK. And I know we've got a little over 100 families on the wait list after our lottery for pre-K, and I wonder if this budget expects to increase capacity, and then I also heard Romeo mention the potential for maybe some incremental dollars from the state for UPK. So wonder if we expect that, because I hate to see a family that wants to give their kids a strong kindergarten readiness start and not have access to it in our community.
I appreciate the question, and I will say we have that same deep concern about the wait list with our pre-K students. That's a major part of our discussion on a regular basis. I will say that part of the issue that we're dealing with started when we went from half-day to full day, which is a good thing. So I'm not blaming that, but that when you went to full day, that took away about half of that space for our students. We have a space issue in our district, which is part of what Romeo, when he talked about the proposition to begin the capital reserve, we don't have space. I think our numbers, when I give that snapshot of our special education, we have increased number of students coming to our district that require self-contained classrooms, which take up our space, which we welcome all of our students, but we are running out of space for additional classrooms. We do partner with 2 community-based organizations. We just did an RFP, hoping to get more that came back. I think our number was still, is it 2 or is it 4? 2?
We currently have 4 CBO
4.
partnerships. The two that you're referring to are the ones we've been interested in expanding. So our team shares Jeremy's sense of urgency around ensuring that number of 150 continues to reduce as fast as possible, certainly without compromising the quality of the programming. So our current CBO partnerships are also very interested in expanding while maintaining a high-quality program. Not to spill any good news, but we're currently looking at a projected wait list for next year that's less than we're currently seeing, with 2 potential scenarios that will continue to remove people on the current wait list for next year. So again, the space is the primary issue, but we share your sense of urgency.
Thanks. You're welcome.
Mr. Bonagario?
Thank you both. I appreciate the presentation. Superintendent Smallene, you note about $135 million dedicated to Commitment 1. Romeo's a little higher number to total instruction. All in, we're talking about roughly half the budget going to this really critical element of student achievement and instruction. I really appreciate seeing that. Items 1 and 2, still on page 12, refer to support for high-quality instruction and professional learning. We heard a little bit about some of that in our study session. And item 2 talks about closing achievement gaps. We know that there are some disparities between different student groups, or student demographics maybe, and across different schools too. But we also know that overall, our students aren't where we want them to be. By the state's measures, more than half of our students are not at grade level. So when you talk about closing gaps, are we talking about closing the disparities between students who are all struggling, or are we looking at closing the gap between where our students are and 100%, if that makes sense to you? In other words, if we've got 40% of our students at proficiency, are we looking at closing a gap between a subgroup that might be at 30% and the rest at 40%, or are we looking at that gap between 40 and 100?
It's all gaps, if I'm understanding, all students. So, of course, when we look at any type of data, we identify, subgroup data and see where they are. But we look at all of the students, and our goal is to have all of our students at proficiency or higher. I mean, that's ultimately what our goal is.
Exactly.
I believe the bullet point that you're talking about specifically was ensuring that we have the interventionists and specialists that help close that gap, which in turn allows more opportunity for enrichment and excelling back in the classroom or in different areas. So it's a specific area you're talking about with interventionists. Yes, it's to close the gap, but it's to close the gap that we see with all of our students, no matter the subgroup.
Okay, great.
I don't know if that answers your question
does.
specifically.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Bonaguro?
I will follow up with a related question for bullet point 1. Are we going to have, I know we've made this move with literacy to what is generally called the science of reading. There's the broader concept of science of learning, heavy emphasis on evidence-based strategies. I know we talk about that, but are we implementing that in all of our disciplines? Are we using those strategies and rolling them out, maybe making changes in anything beyond our core, the literacy, what we've done with our core?
Just to clarify, are you just so with our literacy, we're obviously K through 8, we're looking at our core, right, science of reading. Are you referring to just research-based best practices outside of our literacy component across all of our subject areas?
Yes.
100%. As we go through some of our work with school improvement, when you're looking at, well, you'll see more and more in our school improvement plans, not only SMART goals tied to achievement, but also lead measures that are calling out research-based practices that will be used to reach that goal.
Assistant Superintendent Fleidler?
Yep, thank you. I would love to elaborate a little bit on some of the work that is currently going on in addition to the school improvement planning processes from our study sessions and what Superintendent Smalling just referenced, where all of the 18 campuses will be prioritizing a literacy goal using evidence-based strategies. One area in particular that I can speak to that just occurred this past Friday, it was led by Julie Parsons, and all of our K-5 teachers participated in professional learning session focused around the literacy briefs that were released by the New York State Department of Education this past December, with an emphasis on the science of reading, in particular that distinction between research-based practices, which we know are still in practice and theory, versus evidence-based practices, which we know have high impact and efficacy on student learning. So as a system, we're currently examining a lot of that work to make sure that we're building collective capacity so that our literacy instruction is really refined.
Great, thank you.
Mr. Bonagora,
One more.
keep going until you're done.
So we're going to be proposing a budget of $318 million, roughly a third of $1 billion. It's a lot of money, and roughly comes out to around $32,000 per student. So we are spending a lot of money, but that's worth it. If in the end, we're actually accomplishing our goals, increasing our student achievement, creating good young citizens, residents of our community, that's all really valuable. I want to bring it back to the accountability piece. Are you planning to have anything built into this process going forward that holds us as a district accountable for what we're setting out to accomplish with all of this? And I know you did address some of that in our conversation, in our study session earlier. I already had that question written down, but I want to put that out to you. Is there thought for providing accountability in this process?
Absolutely. That is continuing a part of our school improvement process, right? Because that's where the work's being done. As we mentioned earlier in our study session, that's an area that I think we believe that we could be tighter, where there's clear, where we're using SMART goals and getting into a system of setting expectations through goals, measuring it throughout the year, which we're doing with our lead measures that are built in now to our school improvement process. We're in the process of doing that's very new to our school improvement process. But the theory behind that, the thought behind that, and what our systems allow is that we have measurable, we have timelines to measure and to make mid-year adjustments if needed, if the data is showing we're not adjusting. But more importantly, when we set an expectation of this percentage of growth that we're looking for, let's say in literacy, the idea of accountability means, okay, we set this goal. This was the work that we did to get to that place. Did we meet our goal? Did we not? And if we didn't, we have then a plan to go back and say, okay, what are we going to do differently? Versus years in the past where if we didn't meet our goal, maybe then it was redesigning everything, a completely different plan. When you have accountability, what that really means is this is what we set out to achieve. We had a clear plan to get there. And if we missed our goal, we could go back through that action plan and fix what may have been caused that, us not reaching that goal and address that differently. So this doesn't work without having clear measures of accountability. But accountability with the idea of that we attempted something, we looked, what went wrong, and what we could do better. I think we have to make people, have people comfortable with the term accountability versus that it's a positive piece when we're using it to learn and grow and get better. And that's what we have been kind of going through with our leaders for the past 2 years now to get to that place of comfort, what we call psychological safety, that you're willing to take those chances, set some high goals, because you know that we're going to come back, look at that, reassess, and learn and get better as we go into future years. So yes.
Okay. All part of the process of being lifelong learners for all of us. Right?
100%.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anything else? Just a couple, and these are going to be, I guess, more towards you, Romeo.
Perfect.
With the budget at the state level, do you have a better because all of the issues now are non-budgetary. I mean, what they're fighting over now are all non-budgetary items. So do you have a rough idea of where we are going to be from an aid standpoint? Is it better? I mean, you mentioned the Senate budget that you talked about where it increased some things. I mean, is that where you think we're going to end up at the end of the day because of the issues now are all non-budgetary? It's not really money issues.
Yeah, I don't see this changing much.
Okay.
We might see a little bit more here or there, but we're not going to see millions. We may see 100 or 200,000 difference in there, which will just make adjustments. I don't see any big swings coming out of this, partly because the foundation aid formula was changed. They're trying to stick to that. They changed some levers in there. They're probably going to stick to that. In the past, the governor did a foundation aid increase, and then the legislature kind of added it on it. Everybody was complaining, you need a formula to run. Well, they've run it. We're not really expecting anything major to change, whether that be foundation aid or expense-driven aids. At this point, I think we're pretty much locked in.
And remind us what happens if, because I mean, my understanding is these non-budgetary items that they're fighting about, they're pretty much night and day at opposite ends of the spectrum. Neither side's really willing to give. What happens if we don't have a state-adopted budget when we go to adopt our budget on April 22nd?
I believe we still need to adopt a budget, which would be what we have here. We've talked about this in-house. We think even though the issues are maybe not as much budgetarily, we think we may get state aid runs prior to the budget being actually fully implemented, which will help us kind of shed a little bit of light on this. But if we don't have anything at all by then, we will just adopt what we have, and if something changes materially, we'll have to amend the budget with the board at a future date.
Very good. Thank you. And I just want to take a moment to, I mean, Romeo, you do an amazing job every year throughout the budget process. You and your team, you guys do a great job. You make the budget easy for lay people to understand, and that's much appreciated. And Superintendent Smalley, and I want to congratulate you on your first budget presentation. I was pleasantly surprised. Well, you can't let it go to his head, you know, you got to keep him in place a little bit. Moving on to 5.01, the contractor award for the transportation warehouse floor reconstruction. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Moore, second by Mr. Stetzel. Any comments, questions, concerns on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Anticipated bids is written information only. Does anybody have any questions? The budget and revenue status report, again, written information only. Anybody have any questions? And the property tax refund summary. Anybody have any questions on that? All right, moving on to the consent agenda. Can I somebody move the consent agenda to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Stetzel, second by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on the consent agenda? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 7-0. Moving on to 8.01, a resolution to approve the grade configuration change for Arcadia Middle School. Can I somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Ms. Farah, second by Ms. Like. Any comments, questions, concerns on this? Ms. Farah?
We just had a point of clarification here. We were talking, and it looks as far as the resolution, I know that we were talking about moving fifth grade, and this had to do with the 811. Now, it doesn't say here on here. I didn't know if we needed to make an amendment to this or clarify, because it just says reconfiguration of Arcadia Middle School to move grades 5 through 8 by adding grade 5. So if you read that, it doesn't really say the 811 program.
I'll let Dr. Baker answer that.
For purposes of what the state is looking for, it's just allowing, they look at it just for the whole school. So we're approving it that we can allow the fifth grade, so you know it's for that purpose is what we're putting that in. It won't be outside of that 811, but in terms of the state, the span has to be including fifth grade in order for us to do that.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor? That passes 7-0. Moving on to the data privacy agreement with BOCES. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Stetzel, second by Mr. Butler. Any comments, questions, concerns on this? Seeing none, all is in favor. That passes 7-0. Moving on to 10.01, second read of policies.
I'd like to make a motion to combine all the policies.
Is there a second? Second by Mr. Butler. I'm just going to amend that, if you're okay with the friendly amendment, that we pull 8273, so we'll do all the ones except 8273. Is everybody good with my friendly amendment? All right. All those in favor of adopting all the policies but 8273? That passes 7-0. Now on to 8273. Can I have somebody move that to the table, please? Moved by Mr. Stetzel. Seconded by Mr. Bonagario. Comments, questions, concerns? Ms. Lake?
Thank you. I thought it would be a good idea to add a warning about the dangers of social media to alert parents and to ask them to maybe discuss that with their children, that it can lead to some really unsavory kinds of things. So that was my thought about this policy.
This for a second. So I guess you have an amendment that you would like to add into this policy somewhere?
I did jot something down.
That would be
But
wonderful.
quickly, so it might, it is not cast in stone. We caution parents to the possible dangers to your children while engaging in messaging on social media. It is not uncommon for messages to be used to humiliate children and make them objects of bullying and even abuse. We encourage discussing these issues with your children and monitoring their online activity.
As a point of information, where in the policy do you want that to go?
Wherever you'd like to put it. I would say at the beginning or the end, and it's more likely to be read. I don't care, I just like it in there.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I just didn't know if you had a specific location you thought it fit better. You're more the English teacher than I am.
Well, I thought it might get turned down, so I was too tired to worry about all of it.
Come on, put a little more effort in. I guess I'm
I
just.
did, I wrote it, didn't I?
All right. So is there a second on Ms. Lake's amendment? And then we'll open up for discussion. There's a second from Mr. Stetzel, so now on to discussion in regards to the amendment Ms. Lake has added to this policy. And I guess she's given us leeway where we want to put it. Ms. Moore?
I'd like to hear it again, please.
Okay. We caution parents to the possible dangers to your children while engaging in messaging on social media. It is not uncommon for messages to be used to humiliate children and make them objects of bullying and even abuse. We encourage discussing these issues with your children and monitoring their online activity.
Mr. Butler?
I, for one, would like to go on the record saying that I wish social media had never been invented. However, I'm not sure, I wonder if there's other places in the district's communications purview where we could make such an encouragement to parents. I just think the number of parents that read the board policies is exceedingly small, and I don't know that there's, that I remember ever seeing anything in our policies that are like a statement to parents. So it feels like it doesn't really, I don't disagree with your, with what's behind your suggestion, Mary. I just doesn't feel like it's appropriate for a board policy. That's my reaction.
I guess I'm gonna, if I can, from a point of information standpoint, does anybody else have a comment they want to make on it?
Mark, yes.
Oh, go ahead, Mark. Mr. Bongorio?
I guess I'd like to just suggest the possibility that part of the policy be to state that, as policy, we suggest that the district engage in this kind of messaging to parents. So it is actually a policy recommendation from the board that may resolve both issues.
So,
Hold it together there.
yeah, no, I'm just trying to do the mental gymnastics here. So you want to amend her policy, so as an amendment to the amendment, you want to include that language.
Yeah. As policy that the board encourages the district to express her message, her stated concern there.
Is there a second on Mr. Bonagorio's amendment to the amendment? Mr. Stetzel? On the discussion, now we're just discussing Mr. Bonagorio's amendment to the amendment. Does anybody have any comments they want to make on that? You're the superintendent of schools, you can say whatever you want to say. but turn your microphone on.
Or nobody will hear it. Still trying to figure out the rules. If, with a statement that, similar to what you said, that with a policy statement that encourages school personnel to communicate with families about the dangers of social media. If that's the statement, I could see then a regulation that follows process that then would outline the process for administrators and schools throughout to ensure that that process is then followed through when laptops are given to families and different times throughout the year. So by keeping it broader that way, that will allow for, I think, a regulation that we could put in place that will then push that through the system at different points throughout the year when kids are getting the devices or whatever that may be. So by loosening it with not the direct language, I think will allow for a regulation to.
That makes sense.
Go for it, Sean.
Now
You
you
made
can
that
write
clear
it,
as
Sean.
mud. So I guess I'm going to ask,
About it.
pardon?
I felt good about it.
I'm sure you did. So I guess I'm in a point of information, something first before we delve into what's going on. I guess I'm going to throw out to cabinet or any of the other esteemed educators in the room. What do we currently do district-wide when it comes to the issue we're discussing? Somebody want to jump on this grenade or? Oh, Dr. Baker, look at you, team player, I love it.
Well, so the scope of this policy is actually the use of district devices and how, so just to clarify, the intent of this policy is how we use our device in our network in order to monitor what students are going on. So that's one point. The second point is that we are interested in looking at social media usage and educating students on social media. That's part of the program that you were exposed to at one of the study sessions, Win at Social. And so I actually think that that's more of an instructional tool that we're looking for in order to help monitor. And we do want parent involvement with that. And we're currently offering some parent information sessions during the lunch hour. Lynn Girolamo has been offering that. So for anyone listening, that is being promoted currently, and so hopefully people can join. So I do think that there is a lot of action steps that we could take as a district around this. I just question if this is the correct policy for that to live within, and so I wonder about exploring places where that can live, because we as a district, and me personally, really do support building on that more and more. It's very needed, to your point.
That makes perfect sense. I would just like it, like to be assured that nothing's going to fall through the cracks, that everyone will be very clear about it, and it won't be a matter of if people come to school to sign up for something or not. Yeah.
So we're still on the amendment to the amendment, and I'm going to offer and see if it takes shape or not. I agree. I don't think the amendment to the amendment or the original amendment belong in this policy. However, I do think there is room to create a policy with what you're saying that this is a district-wide position that we want to adopt, moving forward, the dangers of social media usage, whatever. And there may be examples from either Erie BOCES or other organizations that we can adopt a policy. So I'm going to ask if the parties, the amendment to the amendment, and yourself are okay with removing the amendment, adopting this policy, and the policy committee looking into a policy in with what you basically spoke of.
I think
And
I
we
would
move
prefer
forward with
that,
that.
actually.
Okay. So as long as, are you good with that?
I'm
Mr.
very good
Bonagrio?
with that, yep.
All right, so we're going to withdraw the policy, or withdraw the amendment and the amendment to the amendment. Can I get a show of hands, all in favor of doing that? All right, that passes 7-0. We're back on the original. Is there any other questions on the original? Mr. Bonnegario.
Just for clarification, following up to your suggestion, will that be put on an agenda for, say, the next review of policy or something like that? How will that? how will we do a
We
follow-up?
will do some research and figure out what's out there. So I mean, I don't know if it'll be.
Sure.
Before the, before the end of the school year. I mean, it won't be this month, but maybe before the end of the school year, we can have something that we can bring back. Because I'll just need a copy of what you wrote, because I didn't write it down fast enough. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, so with that, on the original policy, any other questions? Seeing none, all is in favor? That passes 7-0. All right, moving on, superintendent comments. Superintendent Smalley.
All right. So I have a few thank yous. I just want to begin by extending my sincere gratitude to Romeo, Janine, Megan Bradshaw, and the entire finance team for your dedication and support throughout the budget development process. The presentation that was shared with you this evening is the result of countless hours of analysis, collaboration, and hard work. So thank you. I also wanted to recognize Laurel for her efforts in preparing for tonight's presentation and for all her behind-the-scenes work that ensures our budget process remains transparent and accessible to our stakeholders. So thank you, Laurel. Additionally, a heartfelt thank you to Gina Larson, Jen Hendrickson, Julie Riley, and the entire Department of Human Resources for their commitment to the staffing process. This work begins in January with 3 formal staffing meetings with secondary principals, along with separate meetings with elementary principals. And lastly, I appreciate the contributions of our building leaders, our executive directors, our assistant directors, who play both a direct and indirect roles in the process. Staffing is an extensive endeavor, but it reflects our unwavering commitment to a fiscally responsible budget that meets the needs of both our students and staff. So thank you all for your dedication and hard work. I also wanted to recognize Jim Gardner for winning the Rochester Regional Health Tom Riley Gold Award. Jim Gardner is our district social worker, and I've had the privilege of working with Jim since I was a principal at Long Ridge. The Tom Riley Award recognizes community members who make a difference beyond the Rochester Regional Health's extensive reach. This award seeks to honor partners who make a difference, make a significant contribution to the community, and further, the award honors those who consistently seek out partnerships, share their perspectives, knowledge, and resources, and work to reduce the stigma associated with behavioral health needs. I will say that the Greece Central School District is extremely fortunate to have Jim Gardner in our system, and I can personally attest to the positive impact he has had on our students, families, and staff. And in closing, I just wanted to recognize the parents, community members, and staff who attended last week's Partners for Progress focus groups. Your engagement and insights were invaluable, and the overwhelmingly positive feedback, along with detailed notes from each of the breakout sessions, will help guide our work moving forward. And just a reminder that the second Partners in Progress event is tomorrow evening. It's in the Odyssey cafeteria. It's not here. It begins at 5 o'clock with some pizza and salad and chit-chat. And then our focus group discussions begin at 5:30, run till about 7 o'clock. And we just look forward to another evening of meaningful conversations and collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Smalley. Mr. Alvarez, you're up.
Thank you. So my first comments today, I want to thank the students at Phoenix Academy, advised by Jennifer Solomon, for inviting me to be a part of their podcast and an engaging discussion that gave me an opportunity to reflect on my leadership and offer advice for students who may be looking to go in the same direction. It was great just seeing how thoughtful the questions were and how much time was and still is being spent into producing a remarkable video. Last week, about 100 or 90 to 100 students from across the district went on the HBCU trip with Director of Equity and Inclusion, Dr. Cedric Michael Simmons, and his team of adult leaders. And I could 100% say that the trip was not only just fun and impactful, but it was also educational, such as visiting Ithaca College, Howard University, and Bowie University, learning about the context behind historical landmarks around Washington, D.C., and as well as learning valuable information about the National African American History and Culture Museum. The activities that we did, the history that we learned, and the laughter that we shared left a mark on many people, and many quotes from students have said, two quotes that students have said was, trips like this deserve to continue in our district, and as well as we should continue to keep ensuring that students have opportunities like this that meet their needs and keep ensuring equitable access to fun. And then lastly, I would like to take the moment to just say that the presentation given by Superintendent Smalleen's budget proposal for the upcoming year was amazing and eye-opening, and I would also like to take the moment to explain the Superintendent Advisory Council, also known as TSEC, portion to the budget. Our idea of providing a startup budget and supplies budget for extracurricular activities that the district has to offer came from data that was collected from focus group discussions facilitated by students from each of the high schools, including Phoenix. And the goals of focus groups was to hear from other students, both known and unknown students, about the different things that our district does well and works for students and the things that we could always improve on. And one of the main themes that we found from those focus groups was to increase funding for extracurricular activities and increase engagement. This then led to myself and the chair of TSEC to highlight this theme and turn it into an idea that goes right into the third commitment as stated in our strategic plan of 2027 and in Superintendent Smalleen's presentation of expanding opportunities. I then gave this presentation to the superintendent's cabinet that further explained the idea that we had and started to spark up great conversations about how the idea can move forward and the solutions that we can look forward to that could be a win-win for all of us. So I want to thank the board for obviously considering this budget approval, and then given that the student body had contributed to the budget development and conversations, starts to show the increase of student voice and ensuring that students have a seat at the table. And that's my comments.
Thank you, Mr. Alvarez. Any other board member comments? Oh, let's start with Ms. Lake.
Thank you, Silas. It's always good to hear from you. And for anyone who did not attend last Wednesday's meeting, it was really wonderful. And the 4 issues that were discussed came from parent concerns, student concerns. And I would like to thank the administration for the kind of listening you've done to us, for us. Several of us attended a workshop about 3 months ago. We came back very excited about possibilities and talked to everybody we could. And they just sent a team of their top leaders to attend the workshop. And we had an hour to talk about the school improvement plans. Last year, it was unfortunate that some of us voted those down, having received them at 4 o'clock on Friday and voted on Tuesday. This year, we're involved in the process as it goes along, very informative. And what was amazing is that questions we asked informed what they did this year. So it's so exciting for me to be on the board at this time and have the collaboration between the board and the administration and the parents. So please come. It's a great time for you to be involved too. I think all of the parents who came were happy they did. And so were the district people. So if you didn't come and you can tomorrow night, please do.
Ms. Lake. Ms. Farah?
Thank you. I just want to thank our two guest speakers today, Mrs. Stewart and Mrs. Demora, regarding your great positivity regarding our GMB instructor. Words like that is great to hear, that you have a great instructor doing great things for our school. And regarding Mrs. Demora, regarding her positive experience with her kids, it was great to hear. Again, we don't care. We love to hear you guys come to Resident Forum, whether we like it, whether we don't, or whether it's indifferent. We still love hearing from you guys. I do want to also thank our retirees. We had two of them, 28 years and 24. And I'm probably going to get this wrong, so I apologize. It's Lisa Hascott, if I said that right, and Francis Palermo. I also was able to attend the 32 Annual District Strings Festival. I cannot believe how many people you can fit in one room. That was amazing. All the students, things were going on in that room all over the place. You were absolutely engaged the whole entire time. I then was able to take my kids to the staff versus staff basketball game at Olympia. That was very interesting to see the staff go after each other. And there was a lot of interesting things going on in there. Although my kids did want to talk about the pie that was going on at Longridge, I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. It was great to see the color guard. There was there at halftime. Again, we've mentioned a couple times here tonight regarding the district partners in progress. It was great. We've been asking to do these kinds of things to kind of get everybody together. It was nice to see that you were listening to the board. We can collaborate on those things. So please, those that got to attend last week, if you didn't get to be in one of the groups, pick another one tomorrow. It'll be great to see you. And last but not least, I want to thank Karen from the GTA and her stories. She did a phenomenal job trying to get everybody together as well. Her vision on this women's group was amazing. It was nice to hear all the peers talk about their other colleagues in the way, and they were gleaming. It was great to see that. She did a great job, and I can't thank her enough for actually, and I want to thank the board and the cabinet as well. You guys were all there, pretty much all of us. It was great to see that we could come together and collaborate, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Farah. Ms. Moore?
I also did GTA Women's Her Story, and it was fabulous, so nicely organized, and so great to celebrate each other. I got an opportunity to read at the Longridge School, Let's Glow Longridge, and I have to tell this story because I brought my favorite book, Alexander and the Terrible, Awful, No Good, Very Bad Day, that I've even read to high school students, and that morning I went to the wrong school. Pulled right into English Village, got out of the car, and luckily I saw it before I actually went in and embarrassed myself. So I started with a bad day. The kids were fabulous, and I loved it. Music, of course. I went to the Winter Guard show at Athene. It was amazing and so well organized, and these groups come in and out and play. It was fabulous. Finished off the musical season with Into the Woods and the musical Matilda at Olympia. And I have to say, Olympia had sign language interpreters there, and that really impressed me. And I actually talked to the family whose daughter was in the play, and mom is hearing impaired. And I thought, what a nice gesture. I know it's expensive, but I'd love to see that at more events in the school district. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. Mr. Butler?
Thank you. Want to start off by thanking our student board member, Mr. Alvarez, for the work that you did putting together the cultural showcase that happened a couple weeks ago. I was able to be there for part of that and really appreciated the opportunity to see firsthand the diverse cultural representation that we have in this district. And it's a great reflection of the world that our students will soon be living in. And so thank you for your work to pull that together. It seemed like it was a great evening. I want to say thanks to the budget team for all of the work that you all do all year long that comes to a head this time of year. I know how much work it is and just want you to know how appreciated it is. And related to that, I want to encourage everyone to take a look at the budget book. It's, I think, an amazing translation of the budget into something that really can make sense to anyone who cares to look at it. It's not, you don't have to be an accountant to understand it, thanks to the work, the collaboration between the finance team and the communications team. So I think that's great, and people should look out for it if you want to understand the budget. And just want to encourage folks to see the sporting events that are getting started with spring sports. There's lots of great stuff to see, and I hope we all make time for it. So thank you.
Mr. Bonagario.
Thank you. I'm going to sound like a broken record up here, but, about a month and a half ago, I attended a vaping seminar at Arcadia, and the principal there, Ms. Wrzeniak, if I said that right, had a few parents who expressed some concerns beyond the realm of vaping, concerns about behavior. She held a community event for Arcadia families. I think that was about maybe 3-4 weeks ago. It was reasonably well attended. Parents showed up. They had an opportunity to express concerns. Staff listened. Last week, a number of us attended the Partners in Progress event. And again, I think a lot of parents showed up. I have to say thank you to Superintendent Smallene and to the staff for making all of that possible. Superintendent Smallene, when you talked about your listening tour and things that have been recurring themes, 3 things jumped out at me. Student behavior affects learning. Prioritizing rigor and achievement is important, and families want to be engaged partners. That really does say that you and your staff are listening. I also want to encourage parents, because there were, I'll say a lot of parents, but it should be a lot more. Parents really do need to be involved. Come out. I said to some parents at the table that I was with, if you know people who aren't involved, give them a personal invitation. It's so important for all of us to be involved in this. But I do think I heard a lot of very positive feedback from that, and it basically was, I think they're listening. I really think they're listening. So thank you. Thank all of you who contributed to that on an ongoing basis, and to Ms. Wrzeniak for her efforts as well. All of that's really, really good. Really, it's a process, and acknowledging where we have challenges, that's part of overcoming those challenges. So again, thank you. We've all put in plugs. The next one is tomorrow night. Will there be culinary treats? That's an important question, because those were fantastic last week as well. So, thank you.
Mr. Stetzel.
Thank you. I'll make this really short. I just wanted to thank Principal Keelan and the entire team over at Holmes Road. I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to go to their literacy night, which I had never attended before, and I was surprised to see how many families, children, students were in attendance. It was a full house. And a big kudos to the team over at Holmes Road, the community schools team. I even believe a member of the public library was there as well representing. It was a huge turnout. It was such a success. It was great to see these families getting together with their students, their children and whatnot, and going to these different classrooms and really unpacking the magic that is within reading and writing. And I just thought it was a great event, a great turnout. And it really complements the work that we're doing with our core and everything. So, go Greece, And that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Setzel. I'm going to be a little repetitive on a couple things. The Her Story thing, the event Karen Schindler put on was amazing to see how many amazing female educators we have in Greece Central that do amazing things every day. That was great to see. I also want to remind everybody, Superintendent Smalling hit it in his budget report. April 28th will be board candidates night. It'll be your opportunity to hear from any people that are interested in becoming candidates for the Board of Education and what they're looking to bring to Greece Central. That'll be April 28th here. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Alvarez. Because of you and the work you've done this year, I've had districts from across Monroe County reach out to me about our student board member and what you do, what you bring to the Board of Education. I've had districts downstate reach out to me, so it's commendable of you and what you've done as a student board member on the Board of Education, and I want to thank you for that because you've brought Greece Central, we were one of the first districts to have a student board member, and the work you've done and the effort you've put in is noticed across the state. So I just want to take a moment to thank you. What else do I got? End of year for my board colleagues. Several of you have started to get invitations for events. We have the tenure, we have the retirement celebration, we have graduations. You're going to have individual events in your buildings. I encourage you all to get signed up to attend any of those events that you possibly can. They're a great way to recognize our students, our staff, and so many other people across Greece Central. And the last one is going to be a little bit of a personal note for me. I want to thank my Greece Central family for all the people that have sent cards from our students, from care packages to my son and his soldiers in the Middle East. It is greatly appreciated. Those guys, I mean, I don't get an opportunity to speak to him much. I think I've spoken to him on the phone twice since he's been gone, but it's much appreciated. He sent me a letter the other day that was very nice and appreciative of everything you guys have all done for him. The care packages, the soldiers love it. You know, it's challenging to be away from home and away from your families. So they're in your, you know, when you get something in the mail, especially if you don't get much in the mail, it's nice. It brings a lot of joy to the soldiers. So I just want to thank everybody in the Greece Central family for that. And with that, Ms. Mallory, you're the veteran board member. It's your time to shine.
Okay, let me see if I can do this right. Can I have a motion to, what
Oh,
did
no, you
say?
messed it up.
I
Already.
messed it up, I'm so
No wonder you got
nervous.
lost.
I know. Adjourn the meeting, please.
Is there a second? Mr. Stetzel, all those in favor? Thank you, everyone.